Back in the day, I made a couple of videos titled "One Thing I Would Change About Every Overwatch League Team." Everybody has something they can improve upon, and I wanted to show that. But something I've never really done throughout the years is talk about one thing that I really like about every franchise. Let's change that, shall we? Time to spread some positivity by going over one thing I like about every Overwatch League team. And just to change it up a bit, let's split this up by regions rather than complete alphabetical order, and we're going to jump right into the APAC teams first. Let's begin with the Chengdu Hunters. One thing I really like about these guys is their ability to stand out from the rest of the crowd. Throughout their entire existence, they've always had this unique way of playing and approaching the game. Their strategies and compositions tend to be so much more different from what you'd consider to be the norm, and that's something I can appreciate. Chengdu is the kind of sports team that you need in any league, regardless of whether it be esports or traditional sports. They're somebody who likes to do things their way. They keep the league refreshing. Back in 2019, they were the only team willing to play Wrecking Ball into GOATs. Nobody else even considered such a selection. Additionally, Chengdu were one of the exclusive teams during this era to consistently play DPS during GOATs. And that unique type of style has carried over into every other year. In Season 3, they played way more ball than anybody else still. In fact, they kind of established a late season meta with the whole Ball Zarya thing. They'd also run a weird double flyer comp with Pharah Echo, and that was pretty crazy. Then of course you have the whole thing that happened last year where they played more Pharah than anybody else would even dream of. And I think as a result of all of this, the Hunters have truly built up a fan base by being different, and that's something I respect. The Guangzhou Charge. I honestly find their branding to just be underrated. Their logo is simple, but I also think that it's interesting and it kind of matches their brand very well. But what I like even more is the colorway they're rocking with. In my opinion, it is one of the most underappreciated color combos in the entire league. I love their skins and their jerseys a lot. So many teams stick with the same basic colors. A good number of teams use either black, a typical shade of blue, or red. Then you have the Charge, who immediately stand out when compared. Right from the moment that they were revealed, they were amongst one of my favorite brands. They don't get nearly enough love in my eyes, and I wish I'd see more people rocking those skins in my games. My appreciation for the Charge is pretty simple, but I'd rather tell the truth than some sort of silly lie about them. The Hangzhou Spark. What I like about this franchise is their ability to integrate Chinese talent into mostly Korean environments. I feel that it's a lot more difficult to put a different language speaker into your lineup when the language of choice is not English. Korean is not an easy language to pick up, and yet the Spark have made it work with both Shy and Gushue in the past, who were both considered to be star players during their rookie years. 2019 Gushue I remember quite fondly. After a month or two, the Spark started to show tremendous improvement, and once he became the full-time starting main tank, the Spark ended up becoming one of the more dangerous teams in the league, and along the way, Gushue established himself as one of the best players in the league. It's a pretty incredible story. To be in the MVP conversation is proof of his improvement and willingness to learn, plus the Spark's ability to easily integrate people into their team regardless of what language they're speaking. In general, I think going mixed like this can be a pretty risky approach, but the Spark have found a way to make it work. No matter where their players are from, they tend to get high value out of them. It's a very cool quality to be remembered by. The Los Angeles Valiant. You're the reason I got into the Overwatch League. If you only started watching my channel recently, you may not have known that I used to be a Valiant fan. If it weren't for the roster drama that happened, I might still be a fan of them too. But still, I can't really deny how much this franchise has meant to me regardless of previous drama. I chose to support them before the league even started, and I have zero regrets. Some of my greatest memories as a fan of this game come from this team. There's a lot of pain to accompany said memories, but the good outweighs the bad for sure. And on top of that, this is where I got to watch a lot of my all-time favorite players in action. Fate, Soon, Custa, Agility, Space, Kareev, Kai. All in all, the Valiant are just why I became a fan of this league. If it weren't for them, this channel may never have even been created to begin with. Despite revoking my support for them, I still will always be grateful, and nothing's ever going to change that. The Philadelphia Fusion. I admire your perseverance. Philly have easily known the most pain of any franchise, and I do not believe that it's particularly close either. 4 second place finishes throughout the years is ridiculous. The Fusion have had their triumphant moments, but I think they're heavily overshadowed by the shortcomings. What really sucks is some of those losses were definitely avoidable too, like with the whole Stage 2 reverse sweep that happened against New York, or when they lost to Paris in that epic series. When you look back at history, you think of the Fusion as the second place guys, and that's a brutal reputation to have. And yet, Carpe and some of those other guys who have been on the team for a long time have always managed to bounce back. No loss ever seems to keep them down. They always fight and stay motivated until the very end. I tip my hat off to Carpe in particular. It takes a lot of guts to go through that many hardships, but maintain your mental. And I have similar words of praise for the fans. Most other teams have either won something before or have never really been in a position to get that close. Fusion fans are basically caught in the worst possible zone, right in the middle. But I've come across many fans throughout the years who maintain hope no matter what, and I love that. The Seoul Dynasty. I like the number of legends that have played for you. The Dynasty still may not have lived up to their name so far, but they certainly have boasted a lot of legendary players to back up that name. Just having Prophet, Jaehong, and Fleta alone is pretty crazy, but they're only basically the tip of the iceberg since they also acquired Smurf and Jonek in terms of Overwatch League legends. But then you also have all those guys from Lunatic High. Miro is arguably the most famous Winston of all time. Guido won an Apex Finals MVP back in the day. Toby had one of the longest careers ever, and then you have Zumba, who has a very famous Zarya. The Dynasty have possessed numerous famous players that pro Overwatch fans just adore. Even if they've never won anything before, I do find it very fitting. The Dynasty may forever be the only Korean-located franchise, and honestly, because of that, I respect any player who chooses to come here. You're taking on a massive risk here because there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. You're expected to show greatness. So honestly, I have a lot of admiration to any big name who has ever come here, and I appreciate Seoul for trying to live up to their names with these big and oftentimes flashy signings. The Shanghai Dragons. What I love about you is that you have the best story in the league. The progress this team has made over the years serves as a valuable life lesson, because life isn't always easy. There are times where it can quite honestly be very hard and discouraging. It can feel as if there's no end in sight, and I think that's what the 2018 Dragons represent. It was failure after failure after failure with no light at the end of the tunnel. Hardship after hardship, non-stop, and I think this goes for both the players and fans. Losing all the time like that is just awful. To not win in 40 attempts, I can't even imagine. I have a ton of respect and admiration for any of the OG Season 1 fans out there. It's not easy to watch a team go 0-40 then continue to devote your loyalty to them. To those of you who have stayed patient, I can only imagine how good it feels to look back at this now. I mean, wow. After only just one painful year, there were a lot of fun moments. Season 2 saw you guys get that special moment of winning your first game, along with the Miracle Stage 3 title run. Then Season 3, of course, saw this team elevate to a whole new level, basically at the contender status, and Season 4 saw you pull off the perfect end to your story with a championship. And there's so many other individuals who make this franchise even more special. Even through all the dominance, it's difficult to dislike these guys because they're just so darn special. At the end of the day, they're an inspiration. It's never worth giving up when things get hard. Don't stop fighting, because maybe one day you're gonna find the answers that you're actually looking for. That's a good life lesson to keep with you. Look at the Dragons and what they've done and stay inspired, folks. Now time for the West. Let's kick it off with the Atlanta Reign. You keep me on my toes, boys. I don't think there's a team who has surprised me more than the Atlanta Reign have throughout the years. I have never ever been able to get a proper read on them. For better or worse, they usually prove me wrong. In Season 2, they had me shook when they randomly beat the Shock in that playoff game, plus the couple of times where they upset the NYXL. And then in Season 3, they proved me wrong by basically just being worse than what I thought they'd be. And then last year, they just went way beyond expectations when I thought they'd just be like a mid-table team, but instead make it all the way to the grand finals. I also never thought that they'd be the team to get to Fran to temporarily come out of retirement amongst a couple of other things. When teams are predictable, it can get a little boring. At least with the Reign though, I know they're going to keep things spicy. No matter the year, no matter the team, they will always find a way to make me regret my life choices. The Boston Uprising. What I like about them is they're actually a roster from Boston that I can tolerate. If you weren't aware, I'm a big New York sports guy, so naturally I tend to dislike most Boston-affiliated teams, but I've never really felt that way about the Uprising. Maybe it's because it's esports instead of traditional sports, or maybe it's just because they've never truly given me a reason to dislike them. I really enjoyed watching Boston during the inaugural season because I'm a big-time Striker and Gamsu fan, so watching them rise to relevance was pretty awesome. And honestly, going beyond beyond Season 1, even when they sucked, I still had fun watching them. The memes with Jerry and then Myungbong carrying, that was all enjoyable. Boston have consistently given off these underdog vibes throughout the years. It's cool to not hate a Boston team. I wouldn't go as far as to say I love them, but I certainly have no issues with them. And as a New York guy, that's all I could really ever ask for. The Dallas Fuel. Something I like about Dallas is their ability to stay relevant no matter what. Every single season has seen them be the center of attention at some point, I feel. 2018 had the drama, you had XQC, the wholesomeness of Mickey, effect carrying, Seagull, the Stage 4 resurgence, etc. Stage 2 then, I mean, they were amazing, but they had that trade going on, plus a great homestand and some ups and downs. In 2020, we got to witness the rise of Decay, plus his falling out, and last year was just really special in general in terms of them being a true competitor. Not every team can say that they've been relevant every single season, whether it be for better or worse. While it's often been at the expense of Dallas fans, I would say, it's impressive that they've always found ways to make the headlines even when they were losing. The Fuel are entertaining, what else can I really say? The Florida Mayhem. What I like about them is how memeable they are. I feel like the Mayhem are the only team in the league to always leave a lasting impression outside of matches every single year. Their entire org and just specific individuals have usually gotten me to smile or laugh. The one I personally am the most fond of is of course the Scrim God Zephyr memes. But it's also very difficult to forget about Avast, and all of the memes he used to do with the Mayhem back in the day, the whole hashtag bring the Mayhem thing after every single Chuck E. Cheese chat of the match tweet, that was amazing. But there's also the Season 1 shenanigans with the creative walkouts, those were always great. And how about the whole Tavik bus driver thing? Making your own player drive the team bus to the Blizzard Arena is hilarious. Did it make the org look awful? Oh yeah, no doubt. But at the same time, I think most of us couldn't help but laugh because it's so incredibly random and hard to believe for that matter that it becomes comical. What else is there? You got the whole Chris meme template, the Checkmate main tank, the McDonald's skins, and their GM Albert also generally liking to meme a lot on Twitter. Their relevance in terms of winning may be exclusive to 1 year currently, but they do know how to keep an audience engaged, and that is something that I definitely do respect. Admittedly speaking, the Mayhem used to get on my nerves a lot during the early days because it felt like just for them to get any sort of attention, they needed to have some sort of gimmick. But they've kind of grown on me over the years, and I can kind of look back and laugh at everything now. The Houston Outlaws. Something that I really do appreciate about them is their passionate fan base. Something that Houston does not get enough praise for is their faithful supporters. Back in the day, I kind of just thought Houston fans were limited to screaming girls at the Blizzard Arena and a certain number of people from Texas, I suppose. But as time has gone on, I've learned that it is far from the truth. I've witnessed fans throughout the year stay optimistic even through the most brutal situations. There are loyal fans all over the place. And this is by no means limited to just my community. I mean from around the internet in general. From late 2018 until the end of 2020 basically, it was not very rewarding to support the Outlaws. They were losing game after game and it only seemed to get worse as time went on. They never had the worst record in the league or anything, but there were a lot of tough spots. There were so many in fact, that I find it miraculous that so many fans have stuck with them. From individual position struggles, to being terrible at GOATs, to losing streaks, to choking a lot of games, the Outlaws have constantly been on a downward trend until recently. And yet, I've always witnessed so many Outlaws fans refuse to give up. They're really, really good at finding the bright spot in a situation. Of course, there's some angry people out there as well, some big-time haters that ditch them, but I think that the positivity is a lot more noticeable because you'd expect people to be angry in this situation. I've always seen the "I hope we do this" comments, or the "that was a great game no matter what the outcome" response is, and whenever somebody would play good or prove the doubters wrong, they'd let that passion of theirs shine through, and I think the biggest example of this comes through Raucus when he actually played a decent Ana during Stage 3 2019. Raucus had gotten a lot of hate up until that point, but I think a lot of Outlaws fans never gave up on him anyway, so when he finally started to make the fans proud, it was a very special and surreal moment. Win or loss, I think this fan base never stops being passionate no matter what ends up coming their way. There's plenty of other fan bases out there who are not this positive, and because of that, I really respect Outlaws fans. The London Spitfire. You tend to stick to your guns. It has usually not worked out in their favor admittedly, but I like that London usually fully commits to their ideas. In Season 1, they realized that they had just too many big names on one team, so they traded away the pieces that didn't complement their vision, even if it was a potential risk to trade away some stars. And you kind of saw what happened as a result. I mean, look what happened after they traded Fissure away. They lost to the Gladiators 3 times in a row, and they started to struggle in the second half of the year. Lots of people questioned if they made the right choice at main tank, but they stuck with it. They never wavered, and the result ended up being a championship. In Season 2, it was all about maintaining that championship core. As we all know, it didn't really work out, but at the end of the day, they never gave up hope until it was over. They didn't panic in the slightest, and despite the championship hangover, they still did end up making the playoffs, which isn't the worst result in the world. Then I think we kind of went off track a bit in Season 3, as they clearly weren't fully committed to that new team of theirs, but I think now they're back in the right place again, as these last 2 years have shown us that they're going the whole EU/homegrown talent route. So far, it hasn't really resulted in any riches, but I still do respect the hustle. Management is going to do things their way, no matter what, and some people might see this mindset as stubborn, and to a certain extent, you're probably right. However, the last thing you want to do is be indecisive. I've seen sports teams, both in this league and in others, be way too indecisive. And a lot of those teams, mind you, have never done much of anything at all, and they're still stuck after years of struggles. If you're unsure of yourself, then that just means that you lack vision and confidence when it comes to this industry. So regardless of if it takes them anywhere or not, I have admiration for London's decision process throughout the years. The LA Gladiators, you are a fantastic rival. Am I the only one that feels like the Glads have never failed to establish rivalries throughout the years? Early on it was the Battle of LA, as well as the whole thing that happened with London after the Fissure trade, but as the Valiant and Spitfire faded away from relevance, the Glads moved on to other more fearsome foes arguably, as the Shock and Rain were both big-time enemies these last few years. They've played a handful of classics that'll go down as some of the greatest games ever. The boys in purple have served as a great roadblock for teams to overcome, but it does go both ways, as I think some of those rival teams also became hurdles for the Glads to improve. I feel like the Gladiators have always played a part in just fighting against those other top teams in their respective region. I feel like most top teams had to go through them at one point or another throughout the years. Most franchises can only dream of maintaining that kind of longevity and relevance, and that's a credit to the Gladiators management. Every single year, essentially, they have made some sort of big move to ensure that they put out a competitive product. They may have been a pain during my Valiant days, but I still do appreciate them very much from a historical standpoint. The New York Excelsior. Something I like about the NYXL is how they give New York sports fans something to look forward to usually. They may not be my favorite team in the league, but I'm still a big New York sports guy at heart. But if you keep up with traditional sports, then you probably know that New York sports in general have been pretty miserable as of late. There's a few exceptions, like the Rangers have been pretty good recently, you have the Brooklyn Nets, I believe that the New York City FC just won the MLS last year, but generally speaking, New York sports really aren't enjoyable for like the more popular teams, I guess you could say. The vast majority of teams either suck or don't come anywhere close to fulfilling their expectations. Enter the NYXL though. I think aside from last year, they've always made a deep run and they've posted impressive records. They've never quite reached that championship goal, but we still do have 3 years of pretty solid play, I would say. 2018 and 2019 had us witness them be one game away from the grand finals. Well, I mean, technically like one round away when it comes to the whole Fusion series, since they had to beat them 2 games in a row to get there, but you get the point. And then in 2020, we nearly saw them get to the Final Four. And when you factor in multiple stage titles and 20 plus win seasons, I'd say that they've done pretty good so far in their existence. The whole choking hazard meme is definitely a thing, but at least they've usually made it far, which is a lot more than most franchises can say. And think about all the superstars and the likable personalities that have come and gone throughout the journey. Choke or no choke, generally fans have had it pretty good. I'd much rather lose in a big game than be irrelevant and miserable all the time. A lot of New York teams don't make the playoffs these days, so supporting the NYXL in seasons 1 through 3 must have felt pretty nice. And if their new roster does end up meshing together, they could be right back on track to be that kind of savior again in 2022. For the sake of my New York sports people watching, I'm thankful this franchise exists. The Paris Eternal. You are my favorite underdog. Along with the Atlanta Reign, Paris are a team that I tend to get a poor read on. The last 2 years have seen me eat my words a lot in terms of preseason expectations. But even so, I have thoroughly enjoyed watching them throughout the process. In Season 3, they were just really good. That squad led by Sparkle and Xe turned out to be something special. But the aspect of this team that honestly makes me love Paris as an underdog is the product that they put out last year. After the Element Mystic core had to end up leaving due to budget issues and whatnot, a large majority of fans expected Paris to probably be trending towards bottom tier. And based on how things went in 2019, a fully EU roster left a lot of question marks and doubts on the table. But instead of playing up to that specific narrative, they were very fun to watch. They won a decent number of games and at least put themselves in a position to possibly end up making the playoffs. The management of this franchise had to overcome some serious adversity. The process to form this new team was grueling, and there weren't exactly a lot of resources on their side. All of these combined factors are part of why I find the Paris Eternals so appealing, but additionally, they kind of rewrote the wrongs, I guess you could say, of 2019. It kind of helped shed some light on the EU scene in a way. The 2021 Paris Eternals showed that a fully EU roster can indeed work at this level if the right people are in charge. Underestimating the capabilities of fresh young talent seems to always be a mistake. Paris are amazing with overcoming the odds, and they've touched my heart. The San Francisco Shock. Your content creation team is goated. Am I sucking up to the Shock in this one? Yeah, you better believe it. But can you blame me? That's the question. Think about it from my shoes. This team helped me accomplish a dream, and that's so much bigger than anything else I could talk about. I got to make content with an Overwatch League team, and that was a huge, in my opinion, unattainable goal, mind you, at the time. I thought it would be so cool to work with the league or one of their teams, but also recognize that it was a long shot because, you know, even though I'm probably one of the more popular Overwatch League guys out there, that doesn't necessarily mean that a lot of people like on the bigger scene pay attention to me. So doing that video on their channel ended up becoming one of the proudest moments of my life. It may not seem like it, but there are times where I'm just not satisfied with myself and I think that I'm just not good enough to do certain things in my life, but that just was not the case with this video. It was a major confidence booster, and I genuinely felt great about myself, and now I'm forever in their debt for taking a chance on me. At the end of the day, they didn't have to do that. They gave me hope that I can keep on growing and that some people probably do know who I am and that maybe I'm just more capable than I give myself credit for. Big thanks to the Shock, NRG, and their content team because I am truly thankful. Even if they aren't my favorite team, they're always going to hold a special place in my heart from now on. The Shock are homies for life. The Toronto Defiant. You have my all-time favorite skins and color combination. I talked about how much I liked the Charge branding earlier, but Toronto take the cake because black and red have always been my favorite color since I was a little kid. Then you add in some gray, and then the skins are just pure perfection in my eyes. It's like one of the most stereotypical gamer colorways out there, and I love it. It's not overly complicated, but it's very smooth. Is it sad that my favorite thing about a team is their colors and that I've used this for 2 different franchises now? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. But at the end of the day, just like with the Charge, Toronto usually don't stand out to me that much. They're generally not a very entertaining team. It's harsh, but sadly kind of truthful. Hopefully next year changes that though. The Vancouver Titans. Now, considering that I did content with them as well, it's within reason to say that I'd be very thankful for them, just like with the Shock. Their content team also treated me very well. I love them a lot, but people may not like it if I suck up to another team for like the next 60 seconds or so let's do something else. One thing I like about the Titans is that they allowed Runaway to live out their dreams. Their partnership may have been short, but man did it feel good to witness the OGs from a historic franchise go on to the Overwatch League. The Titans signed the entire core so they could continue playing together, and that's not an easy thing to pull off because there's a lot of potential complications that could come your way. So I thank the Titans for finding a way to make it work because that entire team was so incredibly special and they needed to not be broken up. It's a good thing that everything worked out because the Titans were insanely entertaining. They accomplished a lot in very little time. A Stage 1 title, the 2019 Rookie of the Year, 2 MVP candidates, and a Grand Finals appearance is pretty significant. And if that wasn't enough, they were the temporary home for some significant legends, and they were one of the greatest GOATS teams ever. The ending was obviously not what any of us wanted it to be, but I'm still thankful nonetheless. Runaway got to live out their dreams of taking over the Tier 1 scene. They made Season 2 very fun, so shout out to the Vancouver Titans for keeping that dream alive just for a little longer. And last, but certainly not least, is the Washington Justice. Something I like about them is that they tend to sign very likable players. If there's one thing the Justice are good at, it's getting players that you want to support. 2019 on its own saw this team kill it in that regard. Corey, Stratus, Sleepy, Arc, I mean, those guys were all in the same lineup. That's so OP. And that only scratches the surface. Just to touch the feelings even more, they picked up Jonnu and Stitch in Season 3 after the Vancouver drama. And I mean, aside from Dallas fans, I think that a lot of people were happy about the Decay signing too. People tend to really like Aim God, Fury, and Mag on top of that as well. The Justice know exactly how to get the people on their side. They haven't posted a lot of amazing results throughout the years per se, but I applaud them for attracting new fans consistently. A handful of teams would kill to be this popular, and I really think that the Justice management deserves a lot of praise as a result. It's a great strategy. And on that note, that just about does it. That's one thing that I like about every Overwatch League team. And now that you know my stance, it's time to share yours. What's something that you like about all the franchises? Post a comment down below so that we can keep this discussion going. And if you enjoyed the video, the best way to support me would be by hitting the like button and dropping a sub. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate your support so much. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.